Hi, everybody. This is Bill from Travel Tips by Bill. Here again with my beautiful wife, Janelle. Janelle, we had a listener or subscriber ask a question that I wanted to cover with you and get your honest feedback. And this is totally impromptu. I made sure that she did not know this conversation was going to go on today. The reader or subscriber is going to Egypt as a solo female traveler, and specifically talked about wanting to go to Aswan.
Okay.
So I know in Aswan you got approached a lot of times, but I want to back up a little bit and go through some different areas and ask you, as a female traveler, where did you feel unsafe? And I'm going to run through some areas and I'm going to run through some situations, and I want you to kind of tell me, did you feel safe? Did you not feel safe? What made that situation uncomfortable or unsafe to you? And then at the end, we'll kind of talk about best practices and really what's the level of threat that somebody's going to face over there. So,
Okay.
first off, in Cairo, did you feel unsafe in Cairo at any time?
Uh, Thanks, by the way, for making this completely impromptu.
I know you did. I know you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big city. Some of the safety protocols we went through was simply just hiring a private guide.
Yeah. So let's talk about when you felt unsafe, though. So I can tell you one time when we wandered down some back streets, right from our hotel. Remember that
Oh
first
yeah,
evening?
yeah.
We wandered down those back
Yeah.
streets, and it was actually the workers coming back from the pyramids, riding their camels and their donkeys or mules or whatnot, coming back to their houses for the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought we were just going to kind of wander around and see what there is to see, and we went down some wrong roads until one of the people on the camels stopped us and said in broken English, "It's not safe for you to
Yeah,
be here."
he was really kind, and he said, "Don't go, don't go over here."
Yeah, he said, "You want to be up there at the main tourist area. He says, not safe for you
Yeah.
back here."
Yeah, because if anything, pickpockets or being mugged or whatever, I don't know. It's no different than being in parts of the United States,
And I'm
really,
glad
if
you
you think
said that, because
about
that was
it.
actually on my list.
It's just safety is safety, you
It's
know?
no different than being. I mean, there's places in the town that we live in
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't go to at certain times of day or night. Right?
Yeah.
It's still that same common sense. It's just in a different country. So with that part, I know spooks some of you guys that are watching this. Don't be afraid. It's going to be fine. Use your common sense. But I want to go on to the next one. She asked about Aswan.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in Aswan we had some situations that weren't very comfortable. Specifically, a lot of it is around the machismo attitude of the men in Egypt. And I say this as a general statement. I know that a lot of you men are from Egypt, watch my videos. I have a lot of subscribers from Egypt. I'm not making a blanket statement, but what we did run into were several individuals that had that machismo attitude that hit on you literally right in front of me.
Well, and a lot of times, too, as funny as it sounds, they would hit on me after the fact. So I had the app called WhatsApp on my phone, and that's how they communicated with us. You didn't have WhatsApp, so they communicated with me. So even those private guides and whatnot that were hired for the day, they would communicate with me later on and
Our
make
driver,
passes at me.
our driver in Aswan to take us down to Abu Simbel and back.
Yeah.
Literally, he was probably in his younger 30s, right?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
It was his birthday. He was going home to have a birthday. His wife was making him a meal. His kids were going to be there. And I guess I should have known the first time when he asked for pictures with just you that something was up. But then when we got back, he literally started texting you
Yeah.
in a very flirtatious way. And I confronted him about it literally on the text message. And he kind of said, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
So
it's,
just be aware. And if anything, if that bothers you as a female, just block them.
Yeah,
So,
that's what you ended up doing, was blocking them on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So the other thing in Aswan that we ran into was really, now we went down to some of the, I believe they're called six, which are the little local markets We did some of those that were off the main street, right? And we got into some areas that I didn't feel 100% comfortable. I don't think you did either. Do you remember going back in those back areas?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't feel 100% comfortable there. And then at night, up and down the river walk, we had a great time, but I could see where a female traveler going solo probably would get a little bit more attention that she may or may not want. So
I saw a lot of females together traveling. I didn't see very many solo female travelers. But if you're a solo female traveler, I would tell you just simply don't engage. If you don't want to barter with anybody, if you don't want to buy anything, then when they talk to you, just don't say anything. And it may seem rude at the time, but as soon as a word comes out of your mouth, they're going to start a conversation, and they will follow. They will keep following you.
yeah, they tried.
You know, for a whole block or two. You know, so
in Aswan, we had a gentleman who was driving a little mule-pulled carriage, right? Wanted to give us a ride, and he tried to engage us in 5 different languages. An incredibly intelligent man, but was very persistent. And they will literally say something to you in every language that they know until they get a reaction out of you, thinking that you may speak that particular language.
And the funny thing was not even half the time. Most of the time, they didn't even speak to us in English. They thought we were either German or Spanish or on occasion French. But they were incredibly articulate in their ability to speak so many languages, and that was absolutely
mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
It was mind-blowing for me. I did not expect that, and it really says a lot about the average person in Egypt. Very, very intelligent, highly educated. Some educated here in the States that have gone back, right? And honestly, that kind of pulls on my heartstrings sometimes, right? I would like to see the people of Egypt living a better life than they really have right now. A lot of them live in poverty.
And they try really, really hard. And if you tell them, especially in Aswan, if you tell them, hey, you know, maybe tomorrow, they will wait for you.
Yeah, we did that. He was literally outside of our hotel most of the day.
Yeah. And I felt horrible because it was a carriage ride, wasn't it, with horses? I'm allergic to horses, so I couldn't.
I even gave him a nice tip that night because I was so impressed with his ability to speak those languages, right? So, but specific to Aswan, some of the things that I would probably recommend, and please correct me, that's why I'm putting you on the spot, because I really wanted your honest feedback. Would you have gone out at night as a solo female traveler?
It depends on where you were in Aswan. You know, the river walk, it was very lit. It was like, it was happening. I mean, it was a place to be out. It was more busy at night than it was during the day.
Yeah, if you stayed along the main drag, right along the river, there are literally police officers that are staged there, probably 1 to look out for tourists, but 2 also to protect the gates down to the Nile cruise ships, right? And they seem like they were every 100 yards or so.
Well, and there's markets perpendicular to that main drag, that main road. If I was a female by myself, I don't know if I would go down those, because it reminds me kind of South America, where you've got a lot of those little holes in the wall, you know, of merchants, and I don't know. I don't think I would feel very safe doing that. But it would be the same in the States, you know?
Absolutely.
Stay in well-lit areas. Don't engage.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down to some of the alleys in New Orleans in the middle of the night, right? So I'm not going to do the same thing in other areas.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really wanted to touch too, and I've got several lists here, but the other thing I think is huge for female solo travelers is your clothing. You need to be dressed incredibly conservative. Your hair covered, as much as your body covered as possible, so that you don't, and you're going to get it regardless. So you don't get the wolf whistles. You don't get the
I got him even
harassment.
when I was dressed like an Egyptian. I got him even then.
Yeah.
In fact, it was funny because I'm like, wow, you know, I'm covered head to toe and I'm still getting them. But it's probably because I've got the light hair and the green blue eyes. So yeah.
Did you feel safe on the Nile cruise ship?
Absolutely. Well, we went on a very special
Yes, we did.
ship.
We had an incredible trip on that cruise ship.
That is a video in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because we were we had tried to hire somebody local as a reference, and it ended up being where he was taking us on a wild goose chase to different ships that we weren't happy with.
And that is in Aswan as well.
That was Aswan.
You have to be very careful who you book your river cruise through. And
he was trying to blacklist us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he literally ran from ship to ship.
Yeah, because we basically told him that, hey, this isn't what we wanted. Keep the deposit we gave you. Just leave us alone. And he was following us. And then he was telling everybody else in the area, don't do business with them.
Yeah. He was going from cruise ship to cruise ship to cruise ship.
So we found a 5-star ship. Am I jumping the gun?
No, you're right. We absolutely found the 5-star ship. It was
expensive.
The video is out there, but
it was amazing, and we're still really good friends with the gentleman that runs the ship.
Yeah.
So.
So you felt safe on the cruise ships. I did too, and if there was any reason to be concerned, but again, we got on board in Aswan, and that's where we kind of got a little bit of a hoodoo tried on us, but we were able to sidestep it. We talked a little bit about the CISCs in the shops, right? So did you feel safe in those? Was there any time that you felt like somebody was coming on to you or put you in a corner or anything like that, or did you feel reasonably safe in the shops?
Well, you mean the tiny little shops on the side?
Yeah, Would you have gone in those at night? I think you said no, right?
No,
but during the day, you would have been all right?
Yeah, I would have been okay. As soon as you engage with anybody who's a store owner, they're not going to let you out of there until you're buying something. So you really have to know that you want something in order.
Do you remember the shop that we had in Aswan where I went in and the gentleman, I literally, it was a spice shop. You know, they've got these beautiful.
You wanted to show me. You were so excited, and you wanted to show me all the spices.
Yeah.
Because you had seen it before in your other trip prior. So.
Yeah, and I knew that I wasn't going to be taking any spices home with us. We just were going to be there for so long, and I didn't want to take up that kind of space in my luggage. Although I did it on my first trip, I didn't want to do it this trip. But I also wanted to pay him for his time, for showing us the spices and stuff. And I offered to give him money. I offered to pay him for his time, and he said no, no, no. And then by the time we worked our way out of the shop, because he continued to try and kind of block us in, by the time we ended up going out of the shop, he was asking me for money, and he asked for a very, very large amount.
Yeah.
So just know you're going to get that. What about, at night? You said you wouldn't have gone down the side alleys, right? Is there
absolutely not.
Anything else as a solo female traveler? I don't know that. Like in Aswan, if I was a solo female traveler, I would have stayed where we stayed at. I believe it was the City Max Hotel. It was right downtown. It was on the main drag. It was directly across from the cruise
Well, and there was a little mall, shopping mall right there at the mall, at the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel had a door that with a security guard on it that would literally let you into the mall. So, and it was a couple-story mall. It was a nice little mall.
Yeah,
all things considered.
I felt completely safe in that mall.
Yeah, and there was places for food. So you solo female travelers could have a food option there. You could still stay in the hotel, and then you could get on your cruise ship the next day, or go see some of the local sites there in Aswan. But I thought that location worked out incredibly well, and for a solo female traveler, I would want something like that, something on the main drag. I think it was rated as a 4-star hotel, and it was close to the food, the main things, and you didn't have to work. And the security was great. I mean, they had the metal detectors there, several security guards as far as feeling safe once we were on site.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What about the airports? Did you feel safe in the airports? Or anything that how did you feel about
Well, you kept getting stopped because you put a laptop or something in your bag.
That's a side topic for another day. Let's just think about.
They wanted money. A couple times they wanted money for you to go through or something.
Everybody's got their hand out in Egypt. But as a solo female traveler, would you have felt safe in the airports?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
How about in cabs or taxis? Would you have felt safe?
In a taxi, no.
Yeah. But so in Egypt, at least when we were there, things may have changed very recently, but when we were there, you could get Uber in Cairo. In the rest of the country, they used an app called Careem.
And Careem is like an Uber.
Yeah, I believe it may be owned by Uber.
Yeah.
But they use that in most of the other cities. if you're going to, as a solo female traveler, I would make sure I hired a guide when I was in Cairo. I would not have tried to do that on my own as a solo female traveler.
And
Imagine the pyramids. The pyramids are probably one of the worst places that you're going to get pestered and harassed, and you're going to see a lot of scams.
Well, and we had hired a tour guide through the hotel that we stayed in Cairo. Remember?
Yes.
By the pyramids, and we ended up hiring her pretty much the whole time we were in the area, a couple days actually, and she was absolutely amazing. I felt completely safe with her.
She kind of felt like a mother duckling that took her baby ducks underneath her
Yeah.
wing and made sure that
Yeah.
nobody harassed us. She took care of us at the
She
pyramids.
told us what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. So if I was a solo female traveler, I would definitely hire a tour guide through the hotel. It's a little more. What we ended up doing was we hired her privately after the first day or two, right?
We hired her privately when we came back to Cairo.
Okay, yeah.
No, but we ended up going through the hotel every single day that we booked her.
Yeah.
And then did something privately when we were not staying
That's
at
right.
that hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, she actually, I wanted just a pampering day, so he stayed at the hotel one day, and she took me in a private car to downtown Cairo, and we did our hair. And no, we did our nails, and I got henna tattoos, and it was so much fun.
She had the shop open up on the day that they were closed just for you.
Yeah,
there were
it was
5 or 6 ladies
amazing.
there that were there just
They
to
were
take care of you.
so kind and so loving, and they were taking pictures. They had so much fun.
But so, yeah, you had a
I felt like a celebrity. It was so cool.
she's great. We'll try and put her contact information in the body for those female travelers that are going there. I would highly recommend booking with her. She will take care of you. Unfortunately, she's not able to go across the nation as far as all of Egypt, but in Cairo, wonderful lady. In Aswan, we booked our tour guide or the driver through the hotel. As we mentioned earlier, kind of got a shady guy, but I guess that's kind of the roll of the dice. In hindsight, I think we probably would have booked our cruise ahead of time, although we knew we would pay some sort of markup. We wouldn't have gone through the stressors that we did. So for you single ladies, book a lot of that stuff ahead of time. Did you feel safe in Luxor?
Yeah, I did. Well, we stayed at a Hilton, didn't we?
We stayed at two
Oh,
different...
two different. I felt safe in both locations. We were on...
We were on either side of the river, right?
Yeah, we were... do you remember the name of that little hotel?
No, it wasn't the greatest of hotels, but
it had amazing reviews. I mean, it was a cheap hotel,
and it was right on the river, which is it was all about the location. But from a again solo female travel tour or solo female traveler, what was interesting about Luxor, and this is just my personal experience, being there, I've been there a couple times to Luxor. What I found is that Luxor has a different feel.
Oh, definitely.
Than a lot of the other cities we were in.
Yeah.
It didn't have that same in-your-face, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, give me money, give me money. It was a much more laid-back city where I didn't really feel at any time that we were in a situation that even made me the slightest bit uncomfortable. They were wonderful people there in Luxor. And as a female, single female, I would highly recommend, don't even think twice about it. Go, gorgeous city, spend the time seeing the tombs. We didn't run into any situation.
What was our favorite tomb? Wasn't it Nefertari?
Yeah, Valley of the Queens ended up being something that was, and Nefertari's tomb was very, very expensive to see, but couldn't recommend it enough.
Worth it though.
Yeah.
Wasn't it $100 or something like that?
It was pretty expensive per person. Yeah.
Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, it's a bucket list item, so totally do it.
We took a private driver from Luxor all the way over to Hurghada. I've been to Hurghada in the past. Once you get on the Red Sea and you start going to the Red Sea resorts, the all-inclusive resorts, whether it's in Hurghada or Sharm, the whole thing kind of shifts, and it moves to more of a European kind of feel. There's a lot of Europeans that travel there, a lot of Russians and Germans and Eastern Europeans that come down there for a holiday. It is a very well protected area. Look, the Egyptian government doesn't want tourism to go away. They go to great lengths to make sure that the tourists feel safe there. Sharm was amazing, and look how wide the road was, right?
Sharm.
The road was like 10 lanes wide, and there was no cars on it. They have built Sharm out to become a tourist mecca. And it's really underutilized right now.
And the Egyptians that work there, they're only allowed to work there for a period of time, and then they have to go back to their home.
It's one of the unique things about Sharm, right? Hardly anybody actually lives there.
Yeah, and they try so hard, I mean, to earn their keep. The
service and everything was spectacular. We really loved our...
We had an all-inclusive.
Yeah, we stayed in Sharm this time in an all-inclusive.
What was the name of that? Pickle.
We'll put it in a pick albatross.
Pick albatross.
Yeah.
That was fun. Absolutely beautiful.
I think we ended up spending 10 days because we booked it once, flew to Jordan for a week, stayed there for a few days before going to Jordan. Went to Jordan for a week, and we loved it so much. Before we went to Jordan, we decided we were going to go ahead and come back to Sharm versus going on to Cairo again or something like that. So we flew back and spent another week in Sharm. It's inexpensive compared to other areas. We're going to get all-inclusive. Service was phenomenal. And ladies, as a single lady, I wouldn't think twice about going to Hurghada or Sharm and staying on one of those private resorts.
Oh, you'll have fun.
Spectacular.
You would have fun.
And that's one of those places where you can wear
Western clothing, and
there were women there in very, very, very skimpy bikinis.
In bikinis, yeah, it was a normal thing. So
you will find
the culture didn't.
You will find, like, I still saw the locals still oogling the women, but they weren't saying harassing, derogatory remarks.
No, I think there was a lot more policing of that, so they didn't.
Yes. So we talked about advice you could give a solo female traveler. I've got some notes here. Obviously, clothing is one that I think is huge.
Yeah, and two, you just want to be respectful because it's not like, in the videos you'll see me wearing my little outfits and whatnot. I didn't do that in Egypt or Jordan, just out of respect. I would cover my shoulders. A lot of times wear capris or pants. And if I wore a dress, it was usually what are those called?
Full length. We've had some notes in some of the comments with the different names.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't
would wear
remember.
those.
But you can go back and look at the other videos and see those.
Yeah, baggy dresses.
I think the other thing is the persona, the way that you project yourself. If I was a solo female traveler, I would make sure I dressed very conservatively. Mm-hmm. I would make sure that when I was in what I call transition areas where I'm dealing with people that are coming and going, those are areas where I can get hit on, or I can get groped, or I can even get maybe pickpocketed. Projecting yourself, moving through those transition areas as if you own them. Don't look like the helpless female. Carry yourself in a way that projects an image that you're strong, confident, and not somebody to be messed with. The other note I've got is, I know it really sounds silly, but arm yourself. And I'm carrying, and I've covered this in other videos. This is something that Janelle had on her at all times. It's not much, but it's a stainless steel mechanical pencil with what looks like almost a hypodermic tip of a needle. And this was in your bag, your chest bag.
So I wore a bag, and I've had this in other videos, I believe, across my chest from shoulder to hip. And I would put it in there just on the corner of it, and then if I needed to pull it out.
If she had to, she could have pulled it out and at least rammed it in somebody's hand or arm or leg enough to hurt them to get distance, to strike and run.
It's the same in the States as well. I
beat me
carry
to it,
that.
yeah.
I carry that wherever we go.
Wherever we go, even on airplanes, right? Yeah. Because you just never know when you're accidentally going to get in a situation where you need to quickly protect yourself and put distance between you and the other individual. So, again, can't recommend these enough. This is I forget the brand name on them. It's a Zebra M701, completely stainless steel mechanical pencil. Trustworthy people. I know that we saw police and military and guards. We probably saw more of that there than you really do in the States. I mean, you don't go through a metal detector and send your bags through X-ray
Just to get into a hotel.
just to get into a hotel, and you
Yeah.
do that there. So they are taking a lot of steps to protect you. The other note I've got is small talk and responding to men. If I'm a solo female traveler, I am not making small talk with anybody. I am not responding to men on the street.
I would just, I would keep my head down. Just if you don't like keeping your head down, just put your shoulders back and just look straight forward. And as rude as that sounds for an American, just don't even act as though you were hearing them. They give up after a few tries and they go on to the next person. So, especially if you're a lone female traveler, I wouldn't even give them the time of day unless you really want to get something and buy something. Don't talk to them because it'll become so tiring and tiresome that you won't even want to engage after a while.
Yeah, honestly,
They'll keep going.
That was probably the one part of the trip that you didn't like, depending on the city that we're in. You had negative experiences based on.
Only because us Americans think, oh, well, we'll respond, because it's rude to ignore. So then we respond, and then they don't. If they don't take no for an answer, and they just keep, creating some sort of sales tactic, then after a while you get a little pissed off.
Yeah, it almost becomes combative. Like, leave me the heck alone.
And then they would be like, "Why so angry?
Yeah.
Why so angry?" Well, because you won't give up. But it's just a difference of outlook. It's just that's how they're able to make a living.
Yeah. So the other thing I've got down there is don't take invitations to go to a meal or have drinks with strangers. You're going to get hit on. Look, if you're a female solo traveler in Egypt and you go to a public bar and sit down by yourself and have a drink, you're probably going to get some attention. But even here in the States, you're going to get attention. So,
well, you saw that in Jordan. Even I don't know if you remember, we were at a bar and there were two American females that were traveling together, and some guy was trying to sell them a tour. And it kind of seemed like he had some intentions, because I was watching him the whole time, giving him the stink eye. It seemed like he had some intentions that weren't on the up and up. But just be careful.
The other thing I would say is trust your instincts. If you don't feel comfortable in a situation, there's a reason why you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, your intuition says everything.
Don't stay in that situation. Get out and move on. If you don't feel comfortable, get out. Mm-hmm. The other thing I would do is, if I was a solo female traveler, I would wear a wedding band. I would wear one. Yeah, I absolutely would wear one.
Well, you would have to wear it on your left hand, your right hand.
When I was single, I actually wore a wedding band. Even though as a male, I was single, I still wore one.
Well, you were with somebody,
yeah,
but yeah.
But yeah, I would highly recommend
Did you wear it on the left hand? Because they wear them on the right hand.
I wore it on the left hand. I'm Westerner.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, it'd be expected, right? It would look a little unusual.
Just wear it on both hands then. Really confuse them.
But let's,
where are they from? I can't tell. There's one on the right hand, there's one on the left hand.
But all in all, again, I think you're going to run into the same thing there that you would run here into the States. The nice thing there is that the severe crime isn't really there like it is here in the States, right? There's not a lot of murders or kidnappings. What you're probably going to run, the worst case things you're probably going to run into is maybe getting scammed out of some money, where there's some of the tricksters at the pyramids, things like that. Again, that's why you got to get that local guide to look out for you in Cairo.
Yeah, and I wouldn't buy anything at the sites themselves, like the pyramids, because they've got several people right outside of the entrance of the pyramids. $1, $2, whatever. I wouldn't even entertain that at all.
I think the other thing that the biggest things that female travelers are going to run into is the harassment, the sexual advances, and the groping. I mean, that's, to me, I think
I don't remember being groped. You said that your other
stayed pretty close to you, but yeah, the first time I went with another lady, she got groped.
Yeah.
So you just, don't put yourself in situations like that. Don't put yourself in busy markets where the man can brush by and grab you. And that's honestly where it happened that one time, is it was in a very busy little market. As soon as you came out of a little major tourist area, right? I can't remember if it was the pyramids or one of the local holy sites. But as soon as you came through, and you know how they've got those little markets where you kind of, just like a Disney World, right? You got to go through
Yeah, yeah.
the shop to get out of the ride, right?
Yeah.
The same thing over there. You got to go through the shops to get out of the site. And it was packed full of people. And a gentleman happened to work the opportunity just right to squeeze in and get a handful. So,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah. But honestly, for you female travelers, if you're solo, it's use your common sense. You're going to have a great time. Don't put yourself in a situation you wouldn't put yourself in at home.
Well, and kudos to you for traveling.
Yeah.
You know, even, not all of us have the opportunity to go with somebody else, and so kudos to you for having the courage to do it. And don't let the fact that you're solo stop you. You can also find tours and whatnot, small groups that are going at the same time, and just kind of catch a ride that way as well, and then make some friends along the way and chat with other people. We actually made more friends with locals a lot of times than other travelers.
Yeah, the people in Egypt have a wonderful, endearing, caring heart. You may run into a bad apple. Heck, you know, we've got a lot of them here in the States, but all in all, the people of Egypt are wonderful individuals. You'll have a great time. As she mentioned, maybe look for a small tour group that you can join if you're that concerned about going as a solo female traveler. Anything else that you want to cover before I
And
wrap it
like
up?
you said, use your intuition on anything. It's a minute by minute experience for you. So if your gut says don't go down this way or don't engage with this person, then listen to your gut.
Yeah. Thanks again for watching. Keep your eye out for more videos. And as always, we'd love to have you subscribe and join our family. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.